What is up, YouTube? And today I am finally back with another video. I'm going to be going over some of the customs that I've done as of late. Mainly two big deal customs for me. But I will also be going over some of the customs that I've done that I haven't shown off on YouTube. And some that I have shown on YouTube as a comparison of, my evolution and how good I've become at it. And I recently got a new light box. I don't know if you guys can tell. I hope the lighting is better, thing that cost me quite a good amount of money. I hope the quality of the videos does increase, and I hope you guys can bear with me as I am still getting used to this, and you guys can see that it is brand new. I am excited. Destroy the illusion a little bit there, but I am excited to start posting videos again. It is my main reason that I haven't been posting. I was just not happy with the quality of videos coming out, and I really wanted to be happy with the quality of videos we're putting out, because if you're making something, you want to do a good job at it, you want to make it good, you want to do something that you're proud of. And that is a theme that you guys will see a lot in this video specifically. So without further stalling, let's get into my custom figures, starting off from the beginning. If I can find him, we've got my custom. Alright, my very first custom figure, my Marvel Legends Hydra Supreme figure. Now, this figure still holds up in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. Yes, the paintwork is sloppy. Yes, it isn't one of my strongest customs. At least in my opinion. You guys will see a lot later on. My custom figures that I've made overall. But I really did make him to go next to my Red Skull. And I think for that he works. By the way, this Red Skull I put on a head that came with a Marvel Legends Taskmaster that I recently purchased, and I liked it a lot more than the head it came with. So yeah, these two look really good side by side. My Hydra Supreme I really do like. Oh my god, you guys can see that head doesn't fit on properly. But my Hydra Supreme I do really like as a figure. You guys can notice though that he has a little bit of paint chipping right here. Nothing too crazy in the back, but the paint doesn't match up too well back here. Paint chipping right here in the armor. And yeah, there is paint chipping in spots, but we love him for that. It's one of my first customs. Can't really hate myself too much for it, because I just started customizing at the time. But it does take me a while to get used to the paint chipping error, so a bit of my older figures do have the paint chipping problem, and I don't fix it for a while, so don't hate, please. So that's Hydra Supreme. The next figure that I made after that was a main character that I needed for a long time, and that is a Daredevil. But I don't know what my thought process was here at all. So in my head, I wanted to make a more grounded Daredevil, and I saw two figures that I didn't really like. Before you guys panic, no, that is not the official Netflix Daredevil head. I would never do that to the official Netflix Daredevil, because I know how much that figure is worth and I really want it. But what I did was I bought a knockoff Daredevil off AliExpress, and I used his head on this figure to make, well, what you see before you. And you guys can see that it's really just a plain repaint. I painted all the black spots with this chrome black. Or not chrome, but this shiny black I have. And then I repainted all the silver parts with this red. And this is the Quantumania figure. Or not the Quantumania figure, the Avengers Quantum suits. And you guys can see that. I attempted to do a Daredevil insignia, and it looks really bad. Trash costume aside, I actually do like how the head turned out. I don't know why I painted the eyes white for Daredevil, but I do kind of like how that looks. It does look like a Batman head, though, so yeah, I don't think I used Sticky Techno. I think I did a pretty good job sizing everything. So yeah, the figure overall is pretty good for a second custom, but it is a downgrade from a Hydra Supreme. But at the time, I was really proud of this figure, and I don't take back too much. So yeah, that is my custom Daredevil, but I wasn't happy with that, because I was like, in my head, I was like, that's an MCU Daredevil, not a comic book Daredevil. So I made a comic book Daredevil, and this one is a lot better. Don't get me wrong, he is a lot better, but he has a lot of the same problems that the first one has. One of my main problems back then was I would lay down a wash way too heavy. You guys can see it on the shiny parts that the wash is way too heavy. Doesn't bother me as much here because, you know, it looks like battle damage. But on the face, I did put down a heavy wash. The original knockoff didn't have a really nice face paint, so I tried to go in and try to make the face a little bit more flesh-like, and I think I did a pretty good job. But then I added the wash, and it made him a lot darker than he actually is. But this was an all-black suit, and I repainted it red. And then all the red parts, like all the red armor parts, I painted a gunmetal. So I think it looks really nice. I do actually really like how this turned out. I would lie if I said I didn't, but I do like it. I'm not gonna lie. I like it quite a bit. Oh, and then I changed his accessories. I gave him some of the hand ninja side pieces, and I cut off the sides to make him more like, you know, rugged batons. And I do like how that looks a lot, actually. So, yeah. This is my custom Daredevil. And the paint chipping isn't too bad on this one, as I didn't really have to cover up too much because the joints were already red in a lot of cases. So, yeah. There's that one. And then after him, I had bought in a bunch of Iron Man. And one of them came out super sharpied and super messed up. So I repainted them. And I made him a classic comic book Iron Man. I recently gave him the head sculpt that came with the 20th anniversary Iron Man. But the original painted head is somewhere in this pile of figures. Give me 1 second. It's right here. So you guys can see I swapped the two bodies. This is the original head that I painted up, though. And you see it matches up a lot better with the sheen of the figure. But I like this head sculpt a lot more. And just in general, I like that sculpt a lot more. And it blends in pretty well, so it doesn't really bother me too much. Things that I like about this figure, I like how I went back in and I painted all the lines. Some parts are cleaner than others, but I do like him nonetheless. You can see, though, some of the Sharpie does show through a little bit. And it was kind of hard to get off. And for one of my early customs, I do think it came out pretty well. I think it's one of the better early customs, and it's one that I still use a lot to this day. He is my display Iron Man. He is my main Iron Man on my Iron Man shelf and my Avengers display. So, my favorite Avenger, and I think he looks awesome, especially after I gave him this head sculpt. It gave him some much-needed bulk that the original body does not have. The original body just looks way too, I don't know. It just looks way too, like, flat for me. He looks weak, and he can't stand for anything. So, I just had to make a good classic Iron Man. And I did. I think I did, at least. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. That's the original body side by side. The head looks goofy on this body, don't get me wrong, but this looks good. This is doing it for me. This isn't doing it for me. I don't really want to swap around any pieces. Part of me is thinking about cutting these off, the little side guard pieces, but I don't know. You guys tell me what you think I should do here. Should I cut those off? Should I keep those on? I don't know. Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. We'll see. So that was my, I think, 4th custom. And then we started moving along a little bit. And I make one of my favorite customs of all time. My custom Fat Spider-Man. Oh, wait. I leaked something. It is not the Fat Spider-Man. My next custom after that was the Spot. I don't have him here. I have a whole video on my channel, though. So, it goes the Spot, then Fat Spider-Man. But the Spot has his own video, so I won't really go over him too much. But, because I have him on a really nice display right now with all my Spider-Verse figures, and I don't want to take them all down. Because, like him, he was on a reachable position, but the rest of the Spider-Men are really not. They're really good poses. They're on really good poses, I mean. So, maybe later. But we'll see. Anyways, I have my Fat Spider-Man right here. Love how this figure came out. And he is, you guys can see, I'm getting a lot better at painting these figures. A lot better. I went as far as to giving this guy a dry brush. A dark blue wash. There's just a lot of blues in here that really make this figure pop out a lot. And the whole idea of the dry brush with the lighter blue was to give him stretch marks, which I think came out pretty well. And you guys can see that this was a base body Frogman, so it had all those Doc Ock tentacles. Ports, I tried to make the back ones look like muscles, but the lower ones didn't do a very good job at sanding those off. So those are still kind of there. And one major mistake I made was I didn't paint the inside of the legs. Or not the legs, but the hip. So that's there, but other than that, I think I did a really good job with this figure. I used the Ned Leeds mask piece. And I got heavy inspiration from this TikToker I follow. Pardon my nerd. He did a pretty good job, or had a pretty good idea when mashing these two bodies together. So I took inspiration and I did that. I kind of did more of a classic inspired spider logo, because I didn't want it to look too much like his, so I didn't want to copy the same exact figure he did. So I tried to come up with something a little bit original, kind of like a Ditko spider. And in my headcanon, you know, he's a bigger dude, so I gave him a belt to keep the suit on, you know, because, I don't know, I feel like they wouldn't make stuff in his size, so just in case he keeps growing, needs a belt. He needs a belt, so I gave him one, and I sculpted that on there. It's my first time ever sculpting something. So I think it's pretty good on there. It doesn't come off or anything. So yeah, guys, that's my custom Fat Spider-Man. After Fat Spider-Man, who was next? I know exactly who was next. After Fat Spider-Man, we have my McFarlane Toys 2099, or my first attempt at making a 2099. I am gonna make a new 2099 figure because for the time, I was really happy of this figure, or proud of this figure, but I still didn't fully understand how to layer paint and how to place down paint and make it so that paint doesn't fully chip. So, yeah, he's pretty big, guys. I'm sorry. It's really hard fitting him all on camera. I'm going to break the illusion a little bit here so that I can get him all in camera for you guys. But, yeah, here is Miguel. I really do like the muscles on this body. I like the proportions on this body. But McFarlane figures are not fun to prep and paint at all, in my opinion. This is a McFarlane Toys All Might base body, which has really good articulation once you get rid of this huge neck he has here. And the articulation is great, but the figure itself does not do well with paint over time. And you guys will see, like, there's a lot of chip spots. There's one right there. Pretty big one right here. And it just does not do really well with keeping paint. And I have to use a lot of paint to get it on there. So I did sculpt a lot of the parts. You guys see a lot of the musculature. And overall, he is pretty good progress. Here is the cape that I took from the Marvel Legends figure, which I sold off the Marvel Legends figure because I ordered the SH figure arts. He gets here soon because I wanted the SH figure off $20.99. So I sold off the base figure and I kept the cape for this figure right here. And I'm still going to do a custom comic 2099 figure on the Vulcan body. So stay tuned for that, guys. And I did learn a lot here, though. I love this spider logo. And I love how I did it. I don't know if you guys can catch it on camera, but he has a bunch of different colors in there. There's golds, there's reds, there's oranges, there's yellows. All to make that spider logo look like futuristic like it did in the movie. And, yeah. Again, not exactly a one-on-one. It doesn't have any of the red parts here or like the huge gauntlets and stuff like that. He has the small ones on here on the side. I didn't want to do one-on-one. I kind of want to do my 2099. And for that, he'll always have a place on my shelf, even when I get the SHF. But I am proud of this figure, and I don't regret making him. After that, I have my custom Kane Parker, which this is one of those characters where, at first glance, I'm really proud of him. Like, you guys can't tell. I don't know if it catches it on camera, but the amount of shading, dry brushing, the cleanness of the spider logo, and the back logo we don't talk about. But it just looks really nice. I'm really proud of all, like, the vibrant colors, the sheen he has going. It took me a while to be able to get a sheen like that, but his is pretty good. And then the sculpted on lenses, because this is Yondu. This is a Marvel Legends Yondu figure. And, yeah, I just took him apart. I took off the fin, filled in the gap. I don't know if you guys can tell in the back that that's just filled in. But I filled in the gap, and, I sculpted on the lenses over the face. Just overall a long process on this figure. But the problem is I didn't give him enough time to dry, so this peeled off a little bit of the shine coat. Peeled off. The paint is chipping in some spots, like right here, And then my most painful chip is down here. You guys can see who it was before. It pisses me off to this day. But, you know, you win some, you lose some. I am still really happy with how this figure turned out. I did kind of mishmash parts here. I took Falcon's boots and I gave them to him here. So the Kane Parker, I gave him the boots right here and right here. And I did pull those off the Falcon, so you guys can see it starts up here and it goes down. Pretty clean pretty clean transition. It doesn't really bother me too much. And then I made his kind of like, you know, size or wrist daggers, whatever you want to call them. I made those out of toothpicks, so I do like how that looks a lot. And overall, pretty good figure. Pretty happy with him. I'm not complaining at all with this guy. So after him, I ordered a bunch of the Marvel Legends Spider-Man, like I ordered the Spider-Man 3-pack, and then they released the pictures for the Spider-Man No Way Home line. So I realized how I didn't need the Spider-Man 3-pack. So, with the extra figure of Tobey Maguire, I made a Spider-Man 3 Symbiote Spider-Man, which again, at first glance, this figure looks super, super dope. Don't get me wrong. But then you start taking a closer look, and you realize I messed up on a lot of the lines. Now, I don't really blame myself for this figure too much. And then the paint chipping right here and here. I didn't really do much prep work for this figure. I really made this figure because I was in a really bad place. And I wanted something to do that would take my mind off things. And it was painting this guy. So, I use this figure as... I use that as my excuse when it comes to this figure. I really do like how it turned out, though. He does fill up a really crucial part of my Spider-Man No Way Home display. Or my Spider-Man, you know, Spider-Verse shelf. And again, it just, you know, it reminds me of, you know, you can use trauma, or not trauma, but, you know, there's times where you just don't feel good as a person. You can use that and do something productive. So, yeah, I made this guy, and I still have my Marvel Legends Tobey Maguire. I still have him. I want to order a custom head sculpt, not for my symbiote version, but for the original version. And I might pay someone to, you know, do a proper repainting, because painting in just the chest lines, which you guys can see, these look really clean. Painting those in was very hard, and then I got very tired very fast. So if I want a good one, I'm going to ask someone to paint that in for me. Someone with experience, or I might just, you know, order an extra one, and if anything happens, you know, I can use him as a practice figure, because, again, practice makes perfect, guys. You don't know you're good at something if you don't try. And you'll never get good at something you really want to do if you don't keep trying. So, you know, keep trying, keep doing your thing. Don't let anybody stop you. You're never going to be good at something the first time. But you just got to keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going until eventually, you know, you get the hang of it. So after him, I come to my favorite customs of the video. And the figures that made me want to do a video in the first place. My custom Nolan Grayson, a.k.a. Omni Man. One of my favorite customs of all time. And then my custom Mark Grayson, a.k.a. if I want to show him, if I want to turn his head around, Invincible. Okay, guys. Two of my favorite customs. You guys can see some paint chipping on Mark, but other than that, not much paint chipping on this guy. No paint chipping at all on this guy. Just a beautiful pairing of figures. My favorite comic book adaptation in forms of a comic, or in form of a TV show adaptation. I'm so sorry, I messed up bad there. It is my favorite comic book adaptation of all time. It is up there with The Boys and all that. It's probably better than The Boys, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if that's a hot take or an L take or whatever, but I like it more than The Boys. And The Boys is one of my favorite TV shows of all time, so that says a lot about it. Just absolutely love this show. And right now, I will start off with reviewing... I'm going to save the best for last. I'll start off with reviewing Mark Grayson, a.k.a. Invincible. And you guys can see that I got the insignia pretty close, pretty head-on. Mark has a bit of paint chipping. He has a little bit right here. That's not paint chipping. Yeah, no, just a little bit right here. Nothing crazy in the back. And I'm pretty sure Mark's base body was a trying to think. Who is Mark Space Body? Oh, Marvel Legends Speedball. So yeah, start off talking about the head. Marvel Legends made Speedball with this crazy hairdo, which I will put right here. And you guys can see that his hair is like swooshed everywhere, which originally I was just going to repaint it black like a lot of customizers did. But I didn't want to do that because I didn't really like how it looked painted black. So I sculpted it on, I cut that off, sculpted on my own hair, which I think it looks really nice. I'm not going to lie, I really do like the look of it. And then I painted that up. And I was originally going to fill in the forehead gap with a little bit of clay, but I kind of like how it looks like a seam. Because the characters are animated in the show, so they don't really have a lot of detail. Because they're animated characters, you know, and you don't want to do too much detail because then it doesn't look consistent throughout the shots. So they kept the forehead pretty flat, but I wanted to add a seam there, so I added one. And I kind of added like a bit of dry brush on each side to make it look darker. And then I didn't color in the ears because I don't really have a good color to match up Marvel Legends flesh tone. So I also don't really like the way it looks with the ears hanging off. I'm being honest. Kind of like how I did it here, where they stay covered by the mask. So that looks really nice. And one of the biggest complaints I get everywhere, like on TikTok, Instagram, where I've posted these, is why do you use that head with those weird goggles? In all honesty, it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers other people. I really do like the way they look. They look kind of like, I don't know. I like Speedball's goggles. I don't know how to say it without it sounding like I'm coping. Because yes, part of me wants to order a Mark Grayson head sculpt and just paint that up. But I don't know. This doesn't really bother me. And then another thing people are saying is, if you wanted to make it look more accurate, why don't you paint it all silver? Because this looks better. If I made it all silver, you wouldn't be able to get that detail that I added in, where it's like, kind of like their goggles, there's a person under there, and the lenses have the dots on each side to show the sun, the sky, whatever. And then I use silver around the rims to make them look more realistic. So I like how that turned out. You guys tell me what you want in the comments. What I do want to do again is probably repaint the yellow to make it a little bit more bright, because I tried to keep it more grounded, and I don't want to make it look too far from the reference material, but I don't want it to look like too realistic to the point where it's like kind of overdoing it, kind of like a lot of the MCU suits. But I like how mine looks right now, so it doesn't really bother me too much. And I kind of wanted to give the yellow a more leathery texture, so I tried to use, like different tones of yellow to make it look more leathery, more realistic. So yeah, that's why a lot of the yellow you guys will see has these like streaks going through it. It's just for that reason. I think it looks cool. So we're starting off with the insignia here, the Image Comics logo. I sculpted that on. Right here. You guys can see it's all sculpted on the Speedball body. And I think I did a pretty good job. And I painted it up, made it look like the cowl, and it looks really nice. The blue I used is custom. I've made the blue using silver, white, and blue. And I made this nice color all around, and I used it on the boots as well. Bit of paint chipping here. Doesn't bother me too much. Yeah, and you guys can see the eye goes all the way down to the crotch area. I don't know how to review this figure. There's not really much accessories or anything to it. It just, it's the Speedball articulation. I won't really go over articulation because I don't want to chip the figure too much. Overall, he is pretty nice, especially when he's standing next to his dad. He fills in that much needed spot in my Invincible collection. I want to make a lot more characters from the show. I want to order the Mauler twins from Diamond Select Toys, which a lot of people ask me, if you like these characters so much, why don't you just order the DST figures? And my simple answer to that is, in my humble opinion, I think the DST figures look really ugly. They suck, in my opinion. Super stylized. Don't get me wrong, I know they're trying to stay true to the animation, but I wish they could have done more. The articulation sucks, the joints suck, the hip joints suck. I just like the Marvel Legends physique way more. So that's my Mark Grayson. And that's my simple answer to why I don't buy the DST figures. The only one I really want to get from DST is the Mauler twins and Monster Girl, because DST does big figures really well. Starting off with Omni-Man, let me take off this head sculpt, because this is one of the more recent head sculpts for the show, if you guys are caught up. And put on the iconic Nolan Grayson mustache. Now, Omni-Man was the first one I made out of Mark and Nolan. I made Omni-Man first, And I'm not gonna lie to you, a huge reason I made Omni-Man was Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat, I love that game. It inspired me again to watch Invincible Season 1. And watching that show, I was like, I have to have a figure of Omni-Man, Nolan Grayson. And I wanted to order the DST one, but it was such a, like, eyesore in my opinion. That figure looks really bad. I want Mofex or someone to get the line for the figure so that they can, you know, redo them. So I went to my Ross and I bought a Marvel Legends Vulcan figure. And I started off by sculpting, you know, the head, resculpting the head. And you guys can see how it turned out. The hair here. I cut off the bangs he has. The old man Omni-Man has the bangs he still has right here. And you guys can see I cut those off and kind of gave him the cowlick. I don't think it looks very noticeable. Like if I would have told you guys, I don't think you guys would have noticed unless you know exactly how Vulcan looks. So I did that, and then I sculpted on the mustache here. And it looks really, really nice. It looks like Omni-Man in my opinion. And then I did the same thing. I bought another Vulcan. I bought the body to make a custom that, I already told you guys, a custom Miguel O'Hara 2099. And then I had an extra head sculpt here. And I decided to sculpt Old Man Omni-Man. And this head sculpt looks super cool. I like how I did the beard. I used the hair that I cut off from this guy to add texture to his beard. And it just looks super dope. And then I dry brushed some white. And he just turned out awesome, guys. I am very, very happy with him. And then the beard here in the front. He just such a cool figure. Multiple attempts here. The only thing that I think I messed up on was this side right here. He looks too flat compared to this side right here. But just a cool figure. I use this head sculpt more because I like the look of Old Man Omni-Man. It reminds me of Old Man Logan. I just like bearded characters. They look super tough. So when it comes to articulation on this figure, he's got the standard Vulcan articulation. You know, I'm pretty sure we're going to see the body a lot more with Marvel Legends. It's honestly a good body, though, so I can't complain too much. I wouldn't want to go over articulation. Obviously, the cape is articulated as well. And I got it from one of the best cape vendors of all time, GPS Lot. I bought it on eBay. They made the coat for my custom figure of myself, or the hoodie. They made all the clothes for him, and I had zero complaints about it. So I was like, you know what? Let me order the cape from there. And I did, and I glued it to the back. And you guys can see there's a bit of spots that need a little bit of touch up, but that doesn't bother me too much. The cape sells the figure for me and makes it 100% better. And yeah, without the cape, you know, it was like that for a while. Without the cape, I still really like it, but you gotta admit the cape adds so much to this character. Anyways, all the glazing aside, we're gonna get onto the actual figure itself. So like Mark, I sculpted all the detail on here. I sculpted on the logo. I sculpted on the cowl piece right here. It was like the little overhang. I sculpted that on. I even went as far as to sculpting the line that goes down the suit. And I sculpted on the gloves. I didn't sculpt on the boots, which I probably should have, but couldn't be bothered. And then I realized Omni-Man has these little cuts, so I just painted those on. I didn't really sculpt those on. I should have, but oh well. Overall, such a dope figure, man. Added on a bunch of shading. You guys can see the shading right here. Shading right here. I don't know if he has any shading on the back. I know he has a little bit of dry brushing on the butt. I don't know if it's noticeable on camera. But such a dope figure, man. He just looks so cool. It took me about 2 months to make this figure. Because, you know, the cape was a hard thing to find. And then I just kept getting inspired. And then there was so many different ways this guy was starting to look. And I didn't want to look like that. So it took me about 2 months. And I was doing this on TikTok. So I kept trying to release, you know, recent updates of the figure. And I made an accessory for him. So Vulcan comes with a bath piece. People are going to hate me for this. I wouldn't be able to tell you who the character is. I just know he comes with a bath piece. And he comes with the torso of the tank guy from the X-Men. I don't know who it is. Please don't hate me, guys. So I sculpted on guts from the bottom of the BAF, or the bath piece. That was like, it was just half a torso. So I sculpted guts at the bottom, make it look like Omni-Man sliced him in half. So I pair him with the hand, like a flight hand like that. And it just looks super badass, man. I'll post some pictures right here that I had posted on TikTok when I first finished making this custom. And I gave him a sleeping strange head just so that it can look, you know, like a dead guy. It just looks super cool. I made the guts as realistic as possible without looking too creepy or too weird for anybody. Because at the end of the day, I'm not trying to do anything like super sadistic. But I think it turned out pretty damn cool. And yeah, guys, it just looks super nice in my opinion. You guys can see one of the guts right here snapped a little bit, but it doesn't bother me too much. So I made that accessory. And then I painted the hands Vulcan comes with to make him look like bloodied up hands. You guys can see the reds don't really match up here for that reason. These are supposed to look like if he got into someone's spine or something, and I think they look super nice. So, did paint these up. And yeah, overall, Omni-Man is probably my favorite custom. And he is inspiring to make a whole bunch of customs. I have a bunch planned, but if you guys have any suggestions at all, put them down in the comments below. Omni-Man just looks super sick, man. You guys let me know what you think. This video is 30 minutes long, so I'll try and close out now. Overall, what I can gather from this video for you guys is try new things, you know. Try new things. Don't ever feel like, oh, I'm not good enough yet, or I'm not ready yet, because you always start somewhere, like, you know what I mean? Customs don't come natural, and if you feel like, hey, I'm not ready yet, I don't want to spend that much money, go to Ross, man. Buy a figure on sale. Buy a figure that's cheap, because, yeah, you don't want to make a custom. You don't want to make a custom on a Mafex figure at first, and then end up hating the custom and, you know, wasting the figure. Because I've seen some pretty bad customs on the SHF Dragon Ball characters, but to be fair, you can't hate too much, because everyone starts somewhere. I have done a lot of mistakes in my life when it comes to, like, customizing toys. When I was little, I used to customize Lego. Come to find out, a lot of those Lego figures I painted are worth quite some money now. I will say, though, that if I didn't do that with Legos, I probably wouldn't have started customizing action figures, and I probably wouldn't have been as creative as I am now. I do love customizing. I will never stop for anything. But I'm not stupid, so don't customize something until you're 100%, you know, willing to, like, lose that. Understand that, you know, I'm new to the hobby. It's not going to look perfect yet. Am I willing to sacrifice this figure? Or am I willing to, you know, lose it pretty much? Because at the end of the day, you got to think, like, if I mess this up, is it really worth losing the original figure? So buy knockoffs. Buy cheap figures, buy figures on sale, constantly, you know, be on the lookout for sales and stuff like that when customizing, so that you don't feel like you lost money or you wasted time. Because at the end of the day, you know, what are you losing? $2-3 if you do a custom from a figure from Ross. A lot of the figures here are either old fodder figures, or I had multiples of them, or, you know, they're just nothing. I wouldn't be losing anything at the end of the day because I already have the character. So, yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell already if you haven't already. I hope you guys enjoy this new style of video and the new, you know, what is it called? Lightbox? I'm sorry, I'm still new to this whole thing. I hope you guys like the Lightbox. I hope it actually helps the content improve a lot more in the future. I am moving out soon, so I will have a dedicated space for YouTube. But for now, this will have to do. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you haven't already. And remember, guys, have a fantastic day. Ugh.